Hello learners, welcome to this course on preparation of research proposal in social sciences. Today we are going to discuss our lecture number 21 and module 5, which is based on formulating the objectives of the study. We have discussed so many fundamental aspects of objective, that how it has to be formed, how it has to be formulated, but today we will discuss in a more comprehensive manner that how effectively you can design and articulate your objective so that you can have a good research proposal. So let us begin. Key learning themes for today's lecture: understanding the research objectives, SMART objectives, characteristic of clear objectives, role of objectives in methodology planning, types of objective and their use, steps to formulate effective objectives, action verbs for strong research objectives, framing objectives, practical examples, and review your research objectives. Today's lecture will revolve around all these themes, that how you will form your research objective to make it effective, and how you will use different kinds of action verb in framing the objectives, which will make it more practical and more researchable. So let us move forward. Understanding the research objective. The first question that comes into the mind, that what actually research objective is. You can see here on the screen, objective of a research are the goals that the researcher intends to achieve by conducting the study. They should be clearly stated and logically connected to the research question or hypothesis. Purpose of the objective: set clear research direction, focus study on specific outcomes, assist in selecting appropriate research design and methods. We have discussed all these things in a very short form, but today we are going to discuss all these aspects of research objective in a detailed manner, and along with this we will discuss in a practical manner that how to articulate some certain ideas into research objectives. Because when as a researcher you are intending to form your ideas and make your research objective, you have to be very precise in terms of what you actually want to do. So you can see here that research objectives sets clear research direction. This is important for a researcher to understand that there are several things that you are going to do in a research, but research objectives make you properly align with what you actually want to do. It makes a clear statement that you are going to do this and this things. It focuses on a study on specific outcomes. Whatever will be your specific outcome, the objective will be inclined toward that, a tentative idea that yes, I am going to do this thing and this will be expected outcomes. Assist in selecting appropriate research design and methods. Many a times, research objective yields the research methodology and designs of the study. We have discussed this in a previous lecture in a detailed manner, that how research gap yields research question, how research question yields research objective, and how research objective yields research method. So these all things are interlinked together. Objective provides clear statement of the specific purpose of the research, which are derived from the research question and hypothesis. They serve to focus the study, delineate its scope, and guide the data collection and analysis process. In this slide, you can see I have given two references also. One is of Creswell and second is of Cohen. These two books of research are also very important, and you can consult these books while forming different components of the research proposal. Now, this is important, that what is a SMART objective? What are the characteristics of clear objective? So let us see here. Here, the first thing that I want to say here, that SMART does not means that SMART literal dictionary meaning. Here SMART means S, letter S represent specific, M represent measurable, A represents achievable, R represent relevant, and T represent time bound. Now you can see here on the screen that is specific, measurable, achievable, relevant and time bound. All these characteristics are characteristic of a good research objective, or we can say these are the characteristics of effective research objective with which you can attract the funding agencies or you can get approval for your research proposal. So, whenever you are trying to make your research objective, be focused on making your objective smart. Smart in sense, you can see on the screen, it should be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant and time bound. One example we will take here, vague objective, to study technology used in classroom. See, there is a difference between formalizing the thing in a professional manner, and since you are in a process of scientific inquiry, you are in a process of doing research, and that is why you are formulating a research proposal. Therefore, it is must that a researcher must be having a formal ideas of how to formalize objective and other components in a professional manner. Therefore, the vague objective tends to write like this: to study technology used in classroom. On the other hand, if you see smart, what is smart? To study the effectiveness of technology, integrated lesson plan on class 8th students. Here one suggestion I will give to all of you, that whenever you are trying to write some certain objective, be very clear about this thing, that what you are going to achieve. This is very important, and as a researcher you should have clarity of thoughts that what actually I wanted to state and ultimately achieve. If you write in a very comprehensive thing, very mixed thing, in a very vague kind of a language, ultimately you are not going to have a clarity of your thoughts, that what is actually your intent. Therefore, it is recommended that whenever you form a research objective, try to include this SMART objective. Why it matters, why objective SMART is required? It helps reviewers and evaluators to appreciate clarity and feasibility, because you are going to present your research proposal in front of some people or institution, or you are going to submit it for funding. So ultimately you are giving it to somebody else to evaluate, that this is my research and I wanted to do this with the help of this certain methodology, tool or whatever you are doing. So ultimately you have to make a proper impression. That is why from beginning I am telling you that when you form these important aspects, look into the research language, operational definition and make it professional. So reviewers and evaluator appreciate clarity and feasibility of your SMART research objective. Roles of objective in methodology planning. This is very important to understand, because we have discussed so many aspects of research objectives, but this aspect is of prime importance to be understood by everyone, that what is the role of objective in methodology planning. So let us see here. The research objective determines four important aspects. First is the research design. Here in a research we use various kind of a research designs, like we are using survey method, experimental method, case study method, any other method, whatever you are using. Your research objective keeps a strong foundation on what kind of methodology you are going to utilize. Therefore, role of objective in selecting and planning in methodology of a research becomes very important, because you are mentioning a statement that you are going to do something in the form of objective, and ultimately you are going to achieve your objective with the help of some certain kind of a research design. It may be survey, it may be experimental, it may be correlational study, it may be any other qualitative study, case study, anything, whatever you are doing, your objective makes a strong foundation towards your research design. The sample selection. The selection of sample is also very crucial, because what you are actually going to achieve is dependent on what you are taking as a sample, because a research is contextual. Therefore, while selecting sample, you have to be very focused, and research objectives actually helps you, or you can say it drags you towards the exact sample, because you are clearly mentioning your sample also in the objectives. Therefore, research objectives plays a very important role in terms of sample selection. Tools to be used, again, what kind of tool you will use in your research, it is also being guided by research objective. It is being guided by research objective, that what kind of a tool or instrument you are going to utilize in your research. You are being dragged by your research objective, because what you have to do, you have already mentioned and declared there in the form of a research objective, and now you have to move accordingly. And last is the technique of data analysis. What kind of action verb you are using in your objective, we'll discuss in the upcoming slide, that what kind of action verb you are using in your objective. It makes and give clear sense that what kind of data analysis you will use, what kind of technique you will use. So you can see here that all these things are interdependent on each other, especially when you form your research objective. I recommend you that please be focused on these four things, because after research objective in a research proposal, you are going to design these all components, and these all components are highly dependent. I would say here highly dependent on your research objective. That is why it is recommended every time that a researcher should design, formulate research objective with accuracy. There should be no vagueness. It should be accurate, linking to the variable, research question and research gaps of the study. Without clear objective, methodology can become inconsistent or misdirected. Because if you do not have the clarity in your objective, definitely you don't know how to achieve it. Only having a research idea is not enough. You have research idea, but how you are going to formulate your objective, that I am going to do so and so things, is very important. पूरे शोध में जो भी आप एक शोध प्रश्न बना रहे हैं, उन शोध प्रश्नों के आधार पर जो भी शोध उद्देश्य आप बनाएंगे, उन शोध उद्देश्यों में इस चीज का बिल्कुल ध्यान रखना है कि जो भी आप टूल यूज करें, जो भी आप सैंपल सिलेक्शन यूज करें, जो भी आप रिसर्च डिजाइन यूज करें, आपको वो वहीं से मिलेगा। और एक्चुअली में रिसर्च ऑब्जेक्टिव आपको इन सभी चीज़ों की चयन करने में सहायता करेंगे। तो ये बिल्कुल एडवाइस है दैट जो भी लोग रिसर्च प्रपोजल बना रहे हैं, अपने रिसर्च ऑब्जेक्टिव्स को स्मार्ट रिसर्च ऑब्जेक्टिव रखेंगे और ध्यान रखेंगे कि इन सभी अन्य कंपोनेंट्स को भी आपस में लिंक किया जा सके। नेक्स्ट इज टाइप ऑफ ऑब्जेक्टिव एंड देयर यूज। ये बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है। ऑब्जेक्टिव कितने प्रकार के हो सकते हैं एक रिसर्च प्रपोजल में, एक रिसर्च में कितने प्रकार के ऑब्जेक्टिव हो सकते हैं। कई बार ये मल्टी लेयर एस्पेक्ट होते हैं। किसी शोध में जो उद्देश्य है वो मल्टी लेयर एस्पेक्ट्स में हो सकते हैं। जैसा कि आप स्क्रीन पे देख रहे हैं, यू कैन क्लियरली सी हियर ऑन द स्क्रीन दैट वी हैव टेकन 3 टाइप्स ऑफ ऑब्जेक्टिव। फर्स्ट इज जनरल ऑब्जेक्टिव, स्पेसिफिक ऑब्जेक्टिव एंड concomitant ऑब्जेक्टिव। Description we can see here. General objective basically it covers broad intention of the study. यहाँ इस बात को बड़ी गंभीरता से समझने का विषय है कि जब भी कोई शोध हम करते हैं, उस शोध में एक व्यापक उद्देश्य हमारा होता है, एक बहुत बड़ा एक कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव एस्पेक्ट होता है जो रिसर्चर बिल्कुल इनिशियल स्टेज पर अपने दिमाग में फॉर्म करता है कि दिस इज गोइंग टू बी ऑब्जेक्टिव ऑफ माई स्टडी। पर जैसे जैसे आप रिसर्च में आगे बढ़ते हैं, you have more layers. The moment you keep moving forward in the research, you explore some certain layers of the research, and then you form some other objectives which are very important and useful in terms of validating and making your research more sound. आपके रिसर्च की गुणवत्ता को बढ़ाने में ये अन्य प्रकार के उद्देश्य सहायता करते हैं। So you can see here general objectives are having broad intentions of the study. Example, to understand factors influencing student motivation. You can see here that it's a general statement that we have taken as the objective, and we have to identify and investigate that what are the factors influencing student motivation. But in a research, it looks vague because it's a general objective. So let us move more specific, and here the moment we move from general to specific to concomitant, keep in mind that you are becoming more pinpointed, you are becoming more accurate in terms of forming your research objective. जितना आप जनरल से स्पेसिफिक की तरफ बढ़ रहे हैं और जितना स्पेसिफिक से कंकोमिटेंट की तरफ बढ़ रहे हैं, उतना ही आप अपने ऑब्जेक्टिव को लेकर पिन पॉइंटेड हो रहे हैं, अपनी बातों को, अपने उद्देश्यों को लेकर बिल्कुल पिन पॉइंट हो रहे हैं. लेट अस टेक एग्जांपल. स्पेसिफिक, कॉन्साइज, फोकस्ड एंड लिंक डायरेक्टली टू क्वेश्चन. जो भी रिसर्च क्वेश्चन आपने बनाया है, आपके स्पेसिफिक ऑब्जेक्टिव्स उस रिसर्च क्वेश्चन से अलाइन होंगे. फॉर एग्जांपल, to analyze the impact of reward system on motivation. To analyze the impact of reward system on motivation. अब देखिए, when you see the general objective here, it's very vague and very comprehensive, I would say. To understand factor influencing student motivation. यहाँ factors की बात हो रही है, but जब specific objective की बात करते हैं, हम थोड़ा pinpointed हो गए. We have concretized our factor more clearly to analyze the impact of reward system on motivation. Now here motivation is directly now related to reward system. This kind of objective is called specific objective. Next देखेंगे concomitant objective. Secondary or parallel inquiries. Secondary or parallel inquiries to explore the influences of family background on motivation. Regarding this concomitant objective, we will discuss this in a detail in other lecture, because it is very important to understand by the researcher, because they are secondary or parallel inquiries, and most of the time concomitant objective is strengthen the findings of your research. So steps to formulate effective objective. How we will formulate effective objective, let us see here. First, you can make a note of this also. Identify the core research question. Break down the major components logically. Use strong and appropriate action verbs. Keep objective feasible, relevant and time bound. Here this all four things are very important to be understood by researcher, that when you are in a process to formulate your effective research objectives, first is identify the core research question. What is your research question? Move accordingly. Do not go here and there with respect to research question, because the moment you shift from ideas of research question, you are going to shift from your research concept. What is the research problem? You are going to shift from there. So be very specific to core research question, first thing. Second is break down components logically. For example, you can consider the previous slide example, that when we are looking into the motivation, there may be several kind of factors which can affect an individual motivation. So break down that components logically. Logically means the way you can do research, the way you can collect data on that. That is what logical means here. So break down major components logically. Next is use strong and appropriate action verbs, and keep objective feasible, relevant and time bound, because as a researcher you will also have a limitation, and your research will definitely have some certain kind of limitation. So it's better not to write over ambitious and a vague kind of objective which is not feasible as well as not relevant and having no time bound. Example, let us take a research question. How does social media uses impact academic achievement among undergraduate students? It's a research question. Let us see how we form objective here. To analyze the correlation between time spent on social media and semester GPA among undergraduate students. Here you can clearly see that what is research question is intending. We have formulated the objective on the same line. that when I have asked some question, definitely my objectives are going to answer that particular question. And here again I am revising it, that always remember, whatever research objectives you are formulating, you are actually going to answer your formed research question in a proposal. Whatever you have raised as a question, your objective will do inquiry and come up with conclusion that this is the answer to your research question. Action verb. This is most important while you formulate a research objective. Analyze, investigate, examine, explore, evaluate, assess. These are some important keywords, action verb for forming a research objective, because when you see, I have discussed about the importance of research language. Whenever you form a research objective, you have to be very focused about the word which you are selecting, because there will be one word having many synonyms. It's a very important to be understood. One word will have many kind of a synonyms, but sometime you see intent of word changes, the usability of the word changes. For example, when you write analyze, it has a different sense and related to different kind of a research. When you write evaluate, it has a different sense. It has a different sense. So one tip is there: avoid weak verbs like understand or know, prefer, analysis, evaluate or assess. Prefer this kind of words. And there are other words which can be used for forming a research objective. Here some good examples are there that generally a researcher can use while formulating a good and smart research objective. Framing objective. Let us see some practical examples here. Now I am going in a reverse order. It's a kind of activity that we will do together. Every time we are forming objective with the help of some research question. Now we are moving in a reverse order. First of all, we have formulated a specific objective. You can see here on the screen and make a note of it. And on the basis of this research objective, try to formulate that what will be the research problem, what will be the research question. These are the specific objective. What kind of a general objective you can have on the basis of this. Move in a reverse order so that you can have more clarity about these things. So just see here, a specific objective is to identify which social media platforms are most frequently used by university students. Second is specific objective to examine the correlation between the duration of social media usage and students' academic performance. So I hope you are forming a topic of this research objective or related general objective. So let us see here. General objective: to study the influence of social media usage and academic performance among university students. Now we have moved to general objective. Clearly you can see here that what is the intent of objective? To study the influence of social media usage and academic performance among university students. Now write the objectives and research questions of this particular general objectives. We can see here research topic: social media usage and academic performance among university students, a correlational study. Now you can see here the topic itself says everything, that there are two major variables which are visible to us. First is social media usage and second is academic performance. One is dependent, other is independent, and it's a correlational study, means we are looking into the effect of one variable over secondary variable and in what sense these are affecting each other. So it's a kind of a research topic. And now you can see from top to bottom, topic is there: social media usage and academic performance among university student, a correlational study. What will be the general objective? To study the influence of social media usage and academic performance among university students. Now specific objectives, pinpointed objective, that you are actually going to execute in your research to identify which social media platforms are most frequently used by university students. Second is to examine the correlation between the duration of social media uses and student academic performances. So I hope you are having idea about how you form general objective, how you form a specific objective from a research topic, and clearly you can see here when we are moving from top to bottom, we are becoming more precise, we are becoming more concise and to the point. We are bifurcating variable down by down and coming to make it more researchable in a statement form, more researchable. What variable, what things you are actually going to deal, you are making it with the help of a specific objective. Review your research objective. This is very important. When you form your research objective, you have to review your research objectives. So here is a quick checklist for reviewing your objectives. What you have to do. First is, are they derived from research question? This is very significant and important, that whatever research objective you have formed, are they derived from research question? You have to see. Are they feasible with your resources and timeline? You will have limited resources and time. So can you complete, can you achieve your objective within the time? You have to check it. Are they specific and measurable? This is also important. Are they specific? And definitely when you will form objective in this manner, you will have a specific objective, but please look into the aspect that whether your objective is measurable or not, because if it is not measurable, it's not going to work for you. Are they logically sequenced? This is important to understand, because in a research many times you form objective but you achieve it one by one. You are not going to achieve all objective at a time. So one by one you are going to achieve objective. Therefore there should be a research sequence, that which objective you are going to do first, which objective you are going to do second. So are they logically sequenced? One tip is there: do not overload the study with too many objectives. It's a suggestion to all researchers, those who are making research proposal, especially when you are new to the field of research. Do not make too many objectives, like you are making 10, 20, 15 objective in a study. It does not look good, and there is a chances that you may be misguided, you may be not having control over your research. So it's better that understand your research problem properly and form less objectives, 4, 5, 6, whatever you have decided, but not too much. Example: to analyze, evaluate, compare, create new models and test theories in one PG dissertation. When you are doing, especially when you are doing postgraduate dissertation, look into the components of the proposal first, that how they are formed and what are the basic intent of the proposal components. Therefore it will help you in making a good research objective. Concluding discussions, major takeaways from today's lecture is: objective act as a signpost throughout your research journey. I have discussed and highlighted it many a time, that what is your objective, it will guide you, it will help you that what you have to actually do. Second is, good objective sharpens your focus and enhance methodological clarity. This is the most workable and practical aspect of your research proposal, that whatever you have read, whatever you have designed, how you will execute it, that comes from methodological clarity, and research objectives provide you this clarity. A strong formulation prevents confusion during data collection and analysis. And in the last, remember, well-crafted objective is equal to half the research work done. This is very important to understand by a researcher, that well-crafted objectives is equal to half the research work done. So the way you form your research objective, it shows your research competency also, as well as intent, that what you are going to do. So this is all from this lecture. Thank you so much.